is CNN. My name is Joseph Warren, and I'm here with my co-host, Lorissa Warren.
Hi.
In all seriousness, this is not CNN. I'm Joseph Warren. This is my sister, and we're going to be having a conversation today about her work as a flight attendant, some travel tips, travel hacks, and also a way that she's found to make money selling clothes online, kind of like fashion, and how you even do that, because I'm interested in that. All right,
Cool.
Let's jump right into it. So what was the experience like of becoming a flight attendant?
So it's kind of a long experience. I don't think most people know this, but you go through a lot of steps before you actually get the job offer. For some airlines, you have to do a video interview. So that's basically just getting your laptop out or your phone out and starting an interview and talking to a screen. It's very impersonable.
Yeah.
So that's like the first step, and then it's reviewed, and then I don't know how. I mean, I guess they review it with like a panel of people, and then they decide if they want to interview you in person. And so you'll have to fly out to wherever the interview is, and then that's pretty much the in-person interview where you're with a bunch of different people also interviewing.
Where did you fly out to for your interview?
I didn't fly out. I drove to Austin.
Okay. You drove to Austin?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like they just send you like, how does that work? The first interview where it's very impersonal, you said, how does that work? Like you get on your computer and what happens?
So it's a very corporate type interview. Basically you have a flight attendant that comes on the screen, all spiffy in her uniform, and she talks about the company, and then they'll kind of explain. Basically, it's a pre-recorded welcoming. It's not like it's an actual like flight attendant on the other end of the screen.
Yeah.
It's a pre-recorded type thing, and then they'll say, all right, are you ready for your video interview? You click start, and then a question pops up. So usually they'll ask stuff like, why do you want to become a flight attendant? What are your previous qualifications? Where'd you go to school? What are some weaknesses, strengths, typical interview questions?
Yeah. How did you answer the weakness question?
I don't think I got the weakness question, but I hate that.
You hate that question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just my weakness is that I care too much.
I'm just too empathetic, you know?
I'm just too much of a, I'm too perfect, I think, or I'm too much of a perfectionist.
A lot of people say that, and I heard you're not supposed to.
Yeah. I don't like those answers to that question.
Yeah, it's just kind of fake. It's turning what's... Okay, I don't like the question to begin with because it's a negative question.
Yeah.
But I think the way you're supposed to answer it, which is kind of like a tangent, you're supposed to like put something that you can work on, like maybe time management, like, in the past I've struggled with time management, and this is how I'm trying to improve myself.
Okay.
But no, definitely do not say, I'm a perfectionist.
Okay.
I'm just so perfect.
Yeah.
And that's a weakness.
I think it's just that I care too much, but
Yeah.
So it sounds like it's grueling, right? From what I remember, it's a very grueling time. What's the boot camp part of the training called? What's that part of the training called? Like the boot camp?
It's initial new hire training. So it's anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks long. You get flown out to wherever the training is. My specific training was in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, nice.
So you get flown out, and they put you in a hotel room with 2 to 3 other strangers that you're gonna live with for the next 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky. I had 2 amazing roommates named Valerie and Lynn, and I still talk to them to this day.
Shout out.
Shout out to them. But
Yeah.
they were amazing, and I couldn't have gotten luckier.
Nice. And was there drama? It sounds like there could be drama in that situation.
Absolutely. So when you put a group of like 40 to 50 men and women together, all with different personalities, there's bound to be drama.
Yeah.
And we had a ton of it. People just like, there was a certain point in training where people were just on edge. Like, you're constantly thinking you're going to be sent home because it's pretty grueling, as Joseph said. He knows because I told him. But like, you have to be compliant every day, which means you have to have your badge, a working flashlight, a watch with hours, minutes, and seconds. You have to have, did I already say badge?
Yeah, your badge, yeah.
Badge, flashlight, watch, just all kinds of stuff that you have to have every day. You have to have the correct uniform on, not too short of a skirt. Everything just kind of has to be in place, and they do check every morning And so people would get in trouble. They wouldn't be prepared. Maybe they went out the night before and like people did get sent home.
Yeah. And what was the rule? Like, how do you get sent home?
I think it's like 3 strikes, you're out type thing.
3 strikes? On the same thing or like anything?
Anything. So cell phones are a rule. You can't have your cell phones out in class. They have to be turned off. There just can't be drama. Like it sounds like so culty, but there's a curfew.
Yeah.
So it can't be known that you were outside of your room past a certain time.
Yeah.
If you were rude to the hotel people,
that could be a strike.
And they complained about you. So you just have to be professional, and a lot of people weren't, and that meant that they got sent home.
Yeah.
And you have to pass all your tests with, I think it's 80% or above. I know certain airlines it's 90%, so it's hard.
What percentage of the ones that showed up made it all the way through?
Our class did really well. We were more than half that got through the entire training process. So I would say maybe about like 10 to 15 people got sent home. Certain classes are different.
10 to 15? Out of how many?
Out of like 50, 55.
Okay.
So we were class 2 of 2019 or 18. I don't know.
Yeah.
So the second class of that year. And each class kind of differs. And we were actually a good class. We pretty much made it all through. Nerds.
Nerds. All right.
Yeah.
No, that's good. And what's something about that training that was surprising to you?
I had done my research, so I wasn't like too surprised. I knew it was a grueling process, that it was going to be a lot of work. I didn't go into it thinking this is going to be a breeze, which a lot of people did. So I was prepared. They send you a packet like a couple weeks before training and say you need to study this. On the first day there's going to be a test. So I studied. I made flashcards. I've always been kind of studious throughout college and stuff, so I was prepared. Some people weren't, like I said. They kind of just saw it as a chance to, move to another city, party. Salt Lake is so fun.
Party
Salt
city.
Lake's actually pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's like a street that's kind of similar to 6th Street in Salt Lake City, Utah.
What's it called?
I don't know, but I remember we went out and I was like, this is kind of like 6th Street in Austin, but it's a fun city. They have a lot of kind of weird laws.
Yeah. Like what?
Funny story.
Yeah.
We were going out on our day off, or the night before our day off, which is totally fine, no curfew or anything. And I had gotten a cup of water from the hotel lounge. And so we walk into a bar and the bouncer like snatches it from me and sniffs it.
Yeah.
He thought it was liquor. Like, it's just like little things like that.
Yeah. It's kind of rude.
They're very, very strict on their liquor laws. You can't, I don't even think they can have a certain percentage of liquor, or they can't sell over a certain percentage of alcohol contents in beer.
Like 10% or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like crazy little things like that, which I'm not used to because I'm from Texas. Texas. So it was kind of a cultural shock.
Yeah.
There was no HEB.
There was no HEB.
Had to go to Kroger, which is gross.
Kroger?
Not a fan.
Okay. This section is sponsored by Kroger. Being a flight attendant, right? So what did you do to celebrate once you became a flight attendant? What was that like? Or what was going through your mind? What was that like?
So it was actually pretty cool. Like, once we passed our final exam, we got to our hotel room, and the hotel staff, which were amazing, they had put like balloons in there, and they had like a sign that says "Congrats, class number 2." They had put a bunch of candies in there for us, so it was fun. We probably had like a glass or 2 of wine, and we had an early morning because there's like a little graduation ceremony that they hold the next day. So we just hung out, celebrated. Some people were crying about getting based in Detroit. My roommate got based in Detroit.
And they didn't want to get based in Detroit? Okay.
So a lot of meltdowns about that, which Detroit's a great city, and she actually ended up really liking it. So my roommate Val got sent to Detroit. I got sent to Denver, and my other roommate Lynn got sent to San Francisco. So just a lot of mixed emotions about like, oh crap, like we're gonna have to move soon to these crazy different cities.
You don't even know where you're gonna go?
Yeah, you don't know where you're gonna go. You don't know where you're gonna live. It's like a lot of mixed emotions like that.
How do you feel about Denver? You feel like that was a good one or a bad one?
I do think it was a good, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad that I got Denver.
San Francisco, I know, has a very high cost of living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, like a lot of people had to move into crash pads in San Francisco, which means an airline crash pad is just a place to crash essentially for airline workers. And thankfully, that's not the kind of setting that I wanted to live in. So I was able to actually move to Denver,
Yeah.
get an apartment, you know, get my own space. And
Awesome.
if it was San Francisco, that wouldn't have been able to happen.
That would have been tougher.
Yeah. Or like Detroit, like I knew Detroit wasn't going to be long term for me. Like I didn't want to live there permanently. Whereas Denver, I've lived there for almost 2 years and kind of like built a life there, I guess. I don't know.
Built a life.
Not really, but you know what I mean. Like I moved there. That's where I'm from. Or not from. That's where I live currently in an apartment.
Very cool. And what are your tips that you have for people who are flying? Like things they shouldn't do, things they should do, to make the flying experience more enjoyable?
The number one thing that I see people do is they take a lot of stuff with them when they're traveling. So they're juggling around a bunch of different bags, or they have to worry about checking a huge, ginormous bag, which if you have to do, I understand. But if you can, I would say travel light is my biggest tip. So get a nice carry-on, maybe from like Travel Pro or Away luggage, and 21 to 22 inches, and just roll up your sweaters, roll up your jeans, so that way you can kind of save space. Roll them up like a little burrito, put them in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, just try if you can to travel light, because I promise it makes your life easier.
Yeah. It's less stressful.
Less stressful. You don't have to worry about like claiming your bag and it getting lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know being like a woman, we tend to like pack heavily.
Yeah.
But I've learned to kind of have like a capsule type wardrobe. So having like a nice pair of leggings, a good pair of jeans, and like 2 to 3 to 4 tops. Maybe like a nice sweater if it's winter time. And just like trying to travel light. Like you can do that and still be fashionable.
What tips do you have for doing that? Or how did you learn? Like, what did you start doing where you kind of moved towards traveling lighter?
I just liked the fact that I didn't have to lug around a bunch of bags and lug around a really heavy bag. And so I was like, all right, like I can get a black long sleeve, some nice jewelry, and some nice jeans, and maybe like a sweater, and like make it work for like 3 to 4 days, you know? And like obviously not just that, like you packed multiple items so you can stay clean and stuff, but I'm just saying like just really prioritizing the essentials rather than taking unnecessary stuff. Like you don't need 4 pairs of shoes for like a 4 or 5 day trip. You just don't. Like bring 1 pair of cute shoes, maybe bring like a pair of workout shoes, and you're good.
Okay. And tell me about some of the memorable flights that you've had.
So one of the most memorable flights I've had is my initial operating experience, which is basically like your last test before you become a flight attendant.
Yeah.
And it was a very stressful 4 days. We went through a snowstorm.
Wow.
So we had some canceled flights, and our flight got canceled. I don't know where we were going, but our flight got canceled in Denver, so I had to drive in a snowstorm, which I've never done because I'm from Texas, for the first time in my life, which is scary. It's very scary driving in the snow. And so it was my last flight. Snow was cleared up, day 4, and I had to do my final test, like I said.
Yeah.
And after I passed, I did fine. The pilots let me go into the flight deck, and it was nighttime, so I got to see them fly the plane with like a starry night sky ahead of us.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool just being able to like it's so serene going from like a crazy chaotic cabin and then just like closing that door and being in their environment. It's so different.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It's like I said, it's serene, especially at night. All you see is just the night sky, and then you occasionally hear them talking to air traffic control.
Yeah.
It's just a completely different environment than being in a cabin.
In the cabin. Have you ever thought about becoming a pilot? Is that something that would be appealing to you?
I personally don't think so, but I do know several flight attendants that have become pilots, and also flight attendants that are working towards becoming pilots. So that's not an uncommon thing.
Okay. It's like a track people take sometimes.
Yeah. And my specific airline has a program where you can go through.
And really? And you don't want to do it? Well, We'll see.
But
Okay.
kudos. It's hard work. It's a very stressful job.
Okay. And what's one of the funniest flights you've had or craziest flights that you've ever had?
Let's see. Funniest I can think of, just actually like a couple weeks ago, we were flying from Columbus, Ohio to Denver, which is a pretty long flight for me because I do mainly domestic, and some Canada and Mexico. But it was like a 3-hour flight, which, like I said, is very long for me personally to work. And there was 3 emotional support animals on board. One of them was a little Yorkie, and he and his mom were sitting in first class.
Oh.
And then there was another dog that was sitting right in front of them, very like sweet, tame lab type dog. And then there was another French bulldog, and they were all kind of sitting in the same proximity. And as we're taxiing to take off, the Yorkie sees the dog in front of him. He sees a glimpse of him, and he starts to growl, bark, lunge, like his mom is like physically having to hold him back.
Oh.
And so she asked to be moved, or I think I might have recommended it. It needed to be done. Like the dog, once it saw that lab, like it was just not gonna have it in its territory. I guess it claimed the plane. So I moved her towards the back. Thankfully, we had some open seats, but it kind of, I guess, sucked for her because she had bought a first class ticket and had to move to the economy cabin.
Okay.
But she was fine about it. She wasn't upset, and I still served her whatever she wanted.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool.
But I thought it was funny, like just seeing that many.
Yeah. Just 3 dogs all in
on
one
board.
spot.
Yeah.
It's actually good. I think there should be more dogs.
And
on
I think
flights.
it's funny how like it was a tiny little Yorkie.
Yeah.
Like
they often bark the most, the little ones.
He had big dog energy for sure.
Big dog.
Or small dog syndrome.
Okay, let's talk about travel.
Okay.
What's one of your favorite places in the U.S.?
Favorite layovers is San Luis Obispo, California, because we stay on the beach.
San Luis
Obispo, California. It's north of the Bay Area. So you get some really, really nice views of the cliffs and the Pacific Ocean. It's really nice. And breakfast is amazing. So like in the mornings, we'll go eat a really nice breakfast and then go down. You can have a run on the beach.
Yeah.
All while getting paid.
Nice.
So it's kind of nice.
And, okay, so that's a very nice place. And it's San Luis Obispo.
Obispo. So Obispo.
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 Never heard of it before.
Yeah.
It sounds nice, though.
It's pretty nice.
So you stay on the beach, you get paid. That's awesome. And you just basically walking distance to the beach?
Yep. You can literally walk to the beach. You stay on the beach at a really nice resort-type hotel.
Very cool.
And I guess just anywhere. I really like the Pacific Northwest and like Vancouver area. You go up into Canada.
Yeah.
But I just always liked their weather, environment, all the trees and greenery. Everything's so green up there because it rains all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my favorite spots to go.
Pacific Northwest or San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what's your... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if anyone's seen Big Little Lies on HBO, it's kind of like a Monterey type town. And it's a very, like, have you seen that show or no?
No.
All right, never mind. I'm sure people have, though. It's
I'm sure people have,
it's a good show. Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies.
Never heard of it.
Has Reese Witherspoon. Shailene Woodley, the girl from not The Sweet Life. What am I talking about? The Secret Life of the American Teenager. She was on one of my flights.
I'm just kidding.
No, you don't know her?
No, I don't know
If you looked her up, you would know of
Okay.
her. She was in the Divergent movies.
Okay.
Celebrity on flight.
Is that common to see celebrities on flights?
I haven't seen too many. She wasn't actually on my flight. We were just swapping planes, and I saw her, and I was like, oh, because I was really into Big Little Lies, and I was like, that's Shailene Woodley.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see.
Awesome. Awesome. And what's your favorite small town in the United States?
Favorite small town? Jackson. There's ski towns, so Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Aspen.
Aspen?
Colorado. The average cost of a home in Aspen is $5 million.
That's crazy.
So it's a very bougie ski town. It's like the most expensive one, and we stay like right behind the ski slopes at a really nice resort.
Yeah.
And it's really bougie.
Okay. And what do you like about Jackson Hole? Isn't that where like Kanye lives, I think?
I feel like the Kardashians did an episode there.
Okay.
Where they showed up.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's got a really small town, I don't know how to explain it, like Western feel to it.
Yeah.
Like old school Western. It's like
Okay.
like woodsy buildings.
Okay. Like saloons?
Saloon type, yeah.
Yeah.
And like another nice hotel that we stay at where you can see people literally skiing.
That's awesome.
So
it's a ski town, really nice, woodsy, like, okay, that sounds really nice.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Again, like any ski towns like that are going to be like pretty fun to go to.
Okay. Very cool. And then you mentioned Aspen as well? Okay.
Aspen people are a very distinguished type of clientele.
In what way?
They're hard to work with.
Yeah.
Like I said, we fly one specific airplane into Aspen because pilots have to get special certification to fly into that city because of the mountains. It's something very specific. They have to go through extra training to be able to be certified to fly into that, into Aspen. So we fly one plane, and the only other jets that go in there are private. So that it's just like an elite town.
Yeah.
And so we get clientele that should be apparently on their private jets but aren't. So they can cop an attitude real quick.
Cop an attitude?
Cop an attitude.
Any specific examples of something?
Yes. This didn't happen to me, but it's a story that kind of goes around my specific airline since we service Aspen so much. We had a family, and it was a mom and a dad and like 2 children, and the flight attendant was asking the children what they wanted to drink, during pre-COVID normal service times. And the mom interrupted and said, we tell our children not to speak to the help.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so
how did she react? Did she say what she did?
I don't know, but I really don't know. I'm sure she was just kind of baffled, but yeah, they're a very entitled group of people.
I'm sure some of them are nice, right? Or
yeah.
It's just a different vibe. How would you say the vibe is different?
It's a different vibe. Like, for instance, flying from LA to Aspen is totally different than flying from Houston to Aspen.
Yeah. You
really get like a different group of really rich people.
In what way? Okay, so how is LA to Aspen different from Houston to Aspen?
LA to Aspen, you're going to have a trash plane at the end. It's going to be trashed completely.
Yeah.
Just food everywhere.
Yeah.
You're not going to have many people saying like thank you or anything like that. It's just very like, oh, you're here to serve me, which I am, but I'm just saying like there's no gratitude for that. Whereas like I did Houston, it's like a
entitlement?
It's so weird. I did Houston to Aspen, and the clientele was just completely different and like very thankful. Obviously like still very well off, but still showed respect towards cabin crew, which you should. They're taking you from one place to another in less than 2 hours. Like, why wouldn't you show respect to those people?
It's a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you show respect to everyone.
Yeah.
And like the clientele is just, I don't know. Like I said, it's West Coast entitlement versus like more like Southern hospitality. I don't know. There is a difference though, for sure.
And what would you say is the rudest city of all?
Aspen.
Aspen's the rudest city you've been to?
100%. Yeah, I don't want to keep throwing the West Coast under the bus, but like San Francisco clientele can be a little difficult too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's good people and bad people in every flight. I will tell you that the most compliant people are when we service small towns, like in the Dakotas, in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Wyoming. Those people are usually the most compliant, most thankful. They're just happy to be going from one place to another.
So the nicest people are like the Midwest?
Midwest. Like I said, if you go north into the Dakotas, Minnesota people are really nice.
Yeah. So what would you say would be like the nicest possible flight you could ever have? Would it be like North Dakota to Ohio or something?
The nicest?
Yeah. Like, what would be like the LA to
The
Aspen?
opposite of LA
What would be
to
the exact
Aspen.
opposite of that?
Okay. Denver, San Antonio.
Really?
Yeah. No, I like servicing. Like, I like going from Denver to anywhere in Texas and vice versa. The people are just very nice.
Yeah.
They don't look at you like you're just here to serve me. I know, like, I hate that I keep saying that, but
Yeah.
it means a lot when, like, people are like, thank you.
Are friendly.
And
Yeah.
are friendly when you serve them a drink, or when you get on the aircraft and you're like saying hi, like, how are you, and they ask how I am back. Whereas when certain flights in different cities, it's kind of like
Okay.
just nothing, silence. No, how are you?
How dare you ask
No,
me
thank
how I am?
you. Just, yeah, it's different clientele.
What's the most fun flight that you can think of? I know, like, going to Las Vegas, sometimes it's a lot of fun. Like,
Yeah,
they're
or
like
Reno.
kidding around.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
fun flights, but also the most fun flights are the ferry flights where we don't have any passengers.
No passengers?
No passengers.
And why is that?
Because we just, like, leave the flight deck door open. We can go into the flight deck and kind of, like, see what's going on, see how the pilots are talking with air traffic control.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice and serene. But yeah, no, there are fun flights, like go to Vegas, Reno, just flights where people are nice and easygoing.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like flights where it's all adults, not a lot of screaming kids and babies. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I'm just saying, like, to me personally, I like those flights.
Yeah. And out of all the cities you've been to, which is your favorite?
I really like Chicago. Chicago is one of my favorite cities.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, like, if you go actually into the city, there's just so much to see. There's so much good food, good music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go into a jazz bar and listen to, like, local musicians, pre-COVID. But the architecture is amazing. You can go see the Bean, which is really cool.
The Bean?
Do you know what the Bean is?
LL Bean?
No. It's a famous architectural sculpture.
Yeah.
And yeah, look it up. It's really cool. You can, like, take selfies. It's reflective, so
Awesome.
it's pretty cool.
Very good. And okay, on another topic, so travel. Anything else you want to say about travel?
Be nice to your crew members.
Yeah.
Just understand that when there's a delay, it's most likely not the flight attendant's fault. Sometimes it is. Sometimes we are late. We're just human. But most often it's weather, it's maintenance, it's in your it's because of your safety. It's not like we were like, oh, we didn't want to show up to work today.
Yeah.
You know, like, so don't get mad at us when your flight's a couple hours delayed, because it's really not our fault.
Yeah.
And we're waiting right there, like we were on time to work.
Yeah.
And we're experiencing that delay too. Just know that sometimes, like, after that flight, maybe we're going home or we're catching a flight somewhere else. So it is a damper on our plans as well.
Yeah. We're all in the same boat.
We're all in the same boat, and it sucks for everyone.
Yeah. We're all in this together.
Yeah. So
As they
don't
say.
just be thankful that we're there.
And okay, very good. Be nice to your flight attendants. I agree. Just be nice to everybody.
Like I said,
Be kind.
Yeah.
Be respectful.
be kind.
Selling clothes. That's something you like to do. I'm a little bit intrigued by that. So how do you sell clothes? How did you get into that?
So it was about, like, 4 years ago when I first started college. I was just trying to have, like, a side hustle. And I liked going to thrift stores and finding vintage clothing, like really well-made clothes from back in the day when things were made in the USA, when fast fashion didn't exist quite yet.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the app Poshmark, and I remember we were in California. I don't know, I think Los Angeles, but Venice Beach.
Yeah.
Where I bought a jean jacket that was vintage from, like, a little thrift store, and I wore it for, like, a couple months, and I didn't want it anymore, so I put it on Poshmark, and it sold, and I kind of made a profit off of it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Like,
That was when you started?
Mm-hmm.
How much of a profit did you get?
Not too much, like 20. I mean, Poshmark takes their percentage.
Yeah.
But like maybe like $25. It's something.
That's something, yeah.
Yeah. And so I realized, like, oh, I could go to thrift stores, which I really like to do, and, like, look for stuff that other people might want to buy and resell. And so it's hard to, like, sift through, like, the Forever 21, the fast fashion labels, like Forever 21, Zara, stuff like that. and find like the good stuff, but you can, and you model it, like you take pictures of it with good lighting and stuff, and like people will buy it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
How do you know what's gonna sell for you're gonna be able to make a profit off of, and what won't sell?
Like I said, look for stuff that's well made. Maybe something vintage that was made in the USA and it's like from the 80s or 90s. I know people really like vintage stuff now, so you can find like some really cool Levi's high-waisted shorts and sell those. You can find like 90s shirts that have like all kinds of quirky patterns on them and sell that.
You mentioned Levi's. What other things do you look for to know like this is gonna sell? Like what other tricks do you have if someone wanted to try this out to make money?
Look for, okay, so when you find a piece and you see it and you're like, wow, this is really nice, look up the brand. Is it a modern brand? Because you can find modern stuff that sells really well, like Madewell stuff is very popular online. Or like Cezanne and other stories. Like just like brands that are selling for a high price point right now and doing well. People might have like donated it and you can still make a profit off of it.
Yeah.
So just look for quality items, maybe made, not mass produced. So like made in France, made in the USA.
France and the USA.
Just look for stuff that's high quality and not like fast fashion. Like everyone knows like Forever 21 shirts aren't going to sell very well, you know, because someone bought it for $5. You're not going to make a profit off of that, you know. But if you find something that's vintage or something like a really nice Madewell piece, like you can make a profit off of that.
Okay. And do you do just the women's clothes, or do you also look for like opportunities in men's clothes as well?
I sold a lot of Aaron's old stuff.
Yeah.
I made like a huge chunk of money, like
just selling as old clothes.
That's another thing is like look through your closet.
Yeah.
What do you have that you don't wear anymore? That are good quality pieces, and sell it.
Sell it.
Or just stuff that you bought. Like I bought a top from Cezanne, which is a French brand, and it didn't fit me right. I didn't want to send it back, so like I wore it a couple times, and I was like, I don't like it, and I sold it for like almost $70.
Yeah.
I bought it for like I think like $110. So I made back money that I would have lost if I would have just left it in my closet and never wore it again.
Yeah. So you got to wear. What's like the best deal you've ever done selling clothes? Like where you were just like made the most money, like a slam dunk.
It was definitely when I was like looking for vintage pieces, because you buy those pieces for like $5, $10, $15, and you can sell them for like $50, $60, $70.
Yeah. Like,
I sold my mom's like size double, triple zero, purple skinny jeans from Joski's, I think.
Joski's?
Yeah, it was like real vintage pair of like from the 80s type pants, and they sold for like $30, $40. I know it's not huge, but it's like, I don't know, it was fun for me.
Yeah.
You know, like just selling pieces that are just sitting in someone's closet. And I've made, I don't want to brag, but like thousands of dollars like doing this.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's always ways to make money, basically. That's what you learned from that.
Yeah. And that was just a side hustle, and it's fun. It's fun to like go thrifting and then finding a piece and you're like, oh, I can sell this. And you model it if you can. If not, just like take really good pictures if you can. And then, put it on there. And if you want to get started, like just take some pieces from your closet right now that you do not wear. And then try and sell it. And like that first sale is just like the best.
Yeah. Okay. The first. And very good. And you also mentioned you could search the price, right? So you can actually look up the price. How do you do that?
So Google, look at Google, type in the brand and a description of the item, and if it's selling on Poshmark, it'll pop right up and it'll show you what people are selling it for. Yeah. If it doesn't pop up and it's like a vintage brand, just like look at the time period. Yeah. Like what's the condition of it, and then you can kind of set a price point then.
Let's go from there.
Yeah, go from there.
All right. I've had a nice conversation about being a flight attendant, traveling, selling clothes. Basically, you can make money out of nothing. That's pretty cool.
You can. It is really cool.
And the internet. It's a new thing. Is it still going to be around later? Who knows?
I think it will.
It might be. what's one final thing, if you could only say one final thing to our audience, or you want to promote something, what's one final thing you want to say to our audience watching today?
Be kind to others and always thank your flight crew. Mm-hmm. We have really long days where we wake up at 5 in the morning, travel to the airport, go through the same chaos as you, and have 12, 13, 14, 15-hour day. So just always be courteous to them.
Yeah.
And
all right. Let's say goodbye.
Bon voyage.
Bon voyage. Goodbye. My name is Joseph. Thank you for watching today. I make daily videos about personal development, personal finance, and public speaking. Also like doing interviews, thank you for the interview today.
Thank you.
My honored guest, my sister, Lorissa Warren, on different flight tactics. Thanks for watching, and bon voyage once again.